Hey guys, Joe here. Today we're looking at the RMJ Utsidihi, which I probably pronounced wrong. I know. This is a really awesome blade from RMJ USA or RMJ Tactical, named for its owner and creator, founder slash whatever, Ryan Johnson. Now, if you're not familiar with the company, they are very well known in the military and tactical world for their breaching axes and other really interesting tools like the Mother Trucker they're doing a batch of soon. They're also really well known for their short swords and whatnot, but they do make several really awesome knives that don't seem to get as much attention as they deserve. And I think the Utsidihi is probably the best of all of them for the average person. It's not necessarily task specific. It's a very good generalist knife. This is something that you can buy and be comfortable about. You can use it for EDC. You can use it for the trail or camping or defensive carry. It can do a little bit of everything. It's a really awesome knife, and it's coming in at a really awesome price point for an American-made fixed blade, at least at $245 is going to be a lot for some people, but it costs a lot of money to make tools in the United States. The minimum barrier of entry for a knife of this quality made in the United States, I would say, is $200 to $250, and it's right in that price point. There's certainly plenty of other makers, big and small, with knives very similar to this coming in over the $300 price point. So the fact they're keeping it under $300 is a godsend in this day and age where everything just gets more and more expensive. I would definitely say this is a fair item too. If you are on a budget, save up for it. Because I don't think you'll be disappointed. Now let's get into it. This being a general purpose knife, this is something that is big enough to get work done, but small enough to be concealed if you really try hard on it. I have large to extra large hands. I'm kind of in a weird angle from the camera here, but you can see I've got room in the back. I can back up on it. So even those with bare paws will probably be able to use this smaller EDC sized fixed blade. Bringing in some size comparisons, here is the Spyderco PM2. It's a long knife because of the handle, but when we bring down the blade, the cutting edge, the Utsidihi actually has a longer cutting edge. So if you're used to these kind of modern tactical folders, something like the Utsidihi will be at home in your hand. Here is a Benchmade 940, a little bit more comparable on size, slightly bigger in the handle length, slightly smaller in the blade length, cutting edge to cutting edge. Oh, definitely a win to the Utsidihi. Bringing in a fixed blade. This is the Gerber Strong Arm, kind of your standard full-size fixed blade. Some would even consider it a small fixed blade, but this is kind of what you would see being carried in the military or something along those lines. It's literally what the Gerber Strong Arm was developed for, as an upgrade over previous Navy Army knives. And you can see it's quite a bit bigger, but because almost half an inch of non-cutting edge, cutting edge to cutting edge, they are very, very similar. So again, with the Utsidihi, you're getting the blade's length, the cutting edge of a full-size knife without the bulk of most fixed blades, the handle. And so that's really, really cool. And for those guys that are into slip joints, as always, I'm going to pull in a 91 millimeter Victorinox. Now, bringing the knife up closer, we have a pretty generally neutral knife here. Nothing crazy, but that's what makes it so awesome and so useful for so many people. I could take arguments for either way, a drop point or a clip point. I would call this a clip point due to the straight back and a really nice belly here and decent blade stock thickness there. I can always annotate what that actually is. Don't remember off the top of my head, but 3 to 3.5 inch blades I really love. This being 3.5, definitely going to get work done. It has, I believe, a tungsten gray Cerakote. It's held up great with the usage I put it through. A little bit of wear on there, but nothing crazy. And even if it does wear, this one specifically is rocking Nitro V, so you don't have to worry about corrosion too much or anything going on. And being Cerakote, you don't have to worry about corrosion really going on underneath the coating like you do with some other coatings out there, like what ESSA uses. That it was a hot point of debate for a while there. Cerakote eliminates really that problem because it bonds better. On the back, we have RMJ USA, no steel stamp, but this is, again, Nitro V. Occasionally they do different batches. I think a while back they did some of their knives in MagnaCut, like with the Unmai. I think even further back they might have done a few in 3V, but right now they're really working with Nitro V. They've had a lot of success with that. And it's a pretty easy steel to work with. I would prefer, of the two sister steels, AEBL, just because it has a little bit more leaning to toughness, but there's nothing wrong with Nitro V. And the HRC on this is coming in at 5960, which is where ABL and Nitro V should be to prioritize toughness. So you're probably not going to snap this blade in half unless you're doing something crazy. It's going to hold a decent edge, but nothing anywhere close to like probably an S30V, M390 20CV or anything like that, the other stainlesses. But again, you don't also have to worry about corrosion. It's a good general purpose steel, Nitro V. I would like to see something a little bit nicer, maybe like a 3V for the price. I don't really care about MagnaCut. I think it's kind of overblown, but I know some people for the price might want to see MagnaCut be a standard steel for them, but I know they've had some issues with that in the past. Now moving on to the handle, we have a really nice duotone G10. This is their dirty olive. They also have a hyena brown and a black. They also do occasionally, I wouldn't call them sprint runs, but they're dealer exclusives where the dealer will reach out and be like, hey, we'd like to do our colorway on that knife. Can you make a batch? And so they'll make something for Eknives in Black Widow, which is black and red. I think Knife Center has done black and orange. DLT, I think, is the one with the urban camo, which is blue and white. So there are other variants out there. Those are just their standard colors. The G10 is pretty aggressively textured, but not to the point where it's like painful. But you will lock in, and you will lock in great. That actually caused a problem with the sheath for me, if I can bring that in here. The sheath is a wonderful Kydex sheath. Standard black for all models. It's a sandwich style sheath. I prefer taco, but I can live with this one. Some models come with the straps. I think the current model comes with 2 straps for horizontal carry. Mine is a previous batch. So this came with the belt clip or pocket clip, if you will. But this one, if I bring it in close, you can see the grooves there on the retention point of the sheath. The texture is so deep and aggressive on this that when it was formed, it formed too deep and it was really hard to get out. Not quite as bad as the SC Pacaya. The first production run of those was absolute trash. This, I just had to do a little bit of warm water to carefully heat that up and bring it more relaxed and out of the valley of that. And then it was perfectly fine. Been beautiful ever since, but just from the factory. The deep texturing, great in hand, could cause some problems with your sheath. Just keep that in mind. If you plan on getting a custom sheath made, let your maker know. In terms of hardware, you're working with, I believe, grade 5 titanium. In this case, it's color match. So this is kind of a nice brown, I would say almost coyote anodizing that looks wonderfully. And because it's titanium, you don't have to worry about any rust going on underneath the scales there. Again, Nitro V, pretty rust resistant on its own, on top of being Cerakoted. You do have a lanyard hole there. Probably a little small for some folks, but you can definitely get ungutted paracord through there if you wanted. And I like the position. It's down and away for people who don't want lanyards. It's not going to be super obnoxious or cause any issues with the screw, but it's there. Now, in terms of overall comfort, I've had no problem with it. You do have some nice jimping there. It is more than enough. I'd say that's about an inch of jimping. So even if you have bare paws, you're going to get a really nice platform there to grip down. But with the Cerakote on top of it, particularly, it's not super aggressive at all. I would say the scales are more aggressive than the jimping is. So if you like jimping, it's usable. If you hate jimping, don't worry. It's not so aggressive. It's going to hurt your hand. Overall, I think this is a really cool knife. For $245, you're going to be hard to beat it. There are a couple other makers out there of similar size putting out really cool knives, like the TKL Bushman. I really love that and kind of regret getting rid of it. That's one I would say could be a competitor to something like this. But overall, for an American-made fixed blade, the RMJ Utsidihi, absolutely awesome. This is a pretty safe bet. If you want to save up for one RMJ knife, this should probably be the one, unless you have a particular love of one of the other models. Like I particularly love the Unmai, but for a general purpose knife, this kind of fits the bill. Some of their other knives are a little bit more purpose driven. If you want something that can do a little bit of everything, the RMJ Utsidihi is the one I would recommend. And I look forward to carrying this. This is something that I'm going to have with me for a while. I'm not going to be getting rid of this one just because I really like it. And some of the folks at RMJ, I've had a wonderful privilege of becoming friends with one or two of their staff, and that might result in something pretty cool here in the future. But we'll talk about that later on. So until the next one, stay safe, stay informed. Peace.